My brother was cyberbullied to death, and the perpetrators had the nerve to mock him for being too weak. Later, when they were pissing themselves under my knife, I sneered. I hope your tolerance isn't too low. It all started on Lewis's day off. I rarely had free time, so I went to pick him up from school. On the way, I stopped at a convenience store to grab some stuff. When I got back, I noticed a crowd gathered by the lake on campus. Lewis was soaking wet, struggling to drag a girl out of the water. I freaked out, dropped everything and pushed through the crowd. Lewis saw everyone just standing around watching, so he quickly glanced at me. Catherine, call an ambulance. He immediately started performing CPR on the girl. After the ambulance took the girl away, I finally relaxed but couldn't help punching Lewis lightly on the arm. There were so many adults around. Why did a kid like you have to play hero? Lewis dodged and pleaded. None of them were helping. That girl's my classmate. How could I just let her drown? Having a good heart isn't a bad thing. I let it go after that. I thought the rescue incident was over, but a few days later, a video of Lewis saving the girl went viral online. I initially thought people would be praising him, but I was dead wrong. The comments section was filled with abuse. Such a perverted mind at such a young age. Disgusting. What the hell? I went back to read the video description and discovered that the rescued girl claimed after waking up that Lewis had deliberately touched her chest during CPR and even stuck his tongue in her mouth during rescue breathing. I was thunderstruck. Our parents died when we were young, and I raised Lewis myself. I entered the workforce early to make money, spending 10 years fighting my way up from nothing before finally opening my own bar. Lewis was always considerate, never giving me trouble. Knowing I was busy, he basically lived alone at home, taking good care of himself, even using his competition prize money to buy me gifts. The video angle didn't clearly show Lewis's actions, so almost everyone believed the girl's story. But I didn't. Just as I was planning to go to the school, the teacher called first, saying Lewis had been injured in a fight with classmates and sent to the hospital. I rushed there to find Lewis lying in a hospital bed, his face covered in bruises. When he saw me, he was silent for a long time before squeezing out, I didn't do it. I knew he was denying the sexual assault allegations. Too heartbroken to speak, I could only grip his hand tightly. I know, little brother. The teacher saw me and came over with a smile. Miss Catherine, right? It was just a small conflict between classmates. I firmly demanded to see the security footage. The teacher rolled his eyes, but reluctantly took me back to school. After watching the security footage, I was shaking with rage. Lewis had been dragged into a stairwell after school. They took turns kicking him, one getting tired, and then another taking over. The footage showed at least 12 boys. The teacher said after the video of Lewis assaulting Pamela came out, these boys couldn't stand it and took matters into their own hands. While their vigilante justice was extreme, Lewis was still in the wrong. I stared at him coldly. What gives you the right to say my brother assaulted anyone? The teacher backed up a step, intimidated by my glare, but still insisted. Pamela gave her statement. Why would she lie? Yeah, why would she lie? I wanted to ask that too. I'm pressing assault charges against every one of these students. Not a single one gets a pass. I turned to leave. The teacher panicked behind me. Ma'am, that's unnecessary. Pamela had been hospitalized with complications after nearly drowning, in the same hospital as Lewis. When I went to see her, she was watching TV in bed. I tried to stay calm when asking how she felt Lewis had assaulted her while she was unconscious. Pamela was evasive, avoiding direct answers the whole time, saying either she couldn't remember clearly, or that it seemed like that's what happened. Yet this vague memory had pushed my brother into an abyss. Was my brother wrong to save someone? Did he rescue some kind of animal? I was shaking with anger, unable to control myself anymore. I grabbed her collar. You better think carefully before you speak. Pamela burst into tears. Her parents and medical staff quickly arrived, shoving me out of the room, hurling insults that I couldn't process. Lewis's injuries required hospitalization, but what worried me more was his psychological state. He became withdrawn and started having insomnia for days on end. Sometimes he'd wake up from nightmares crying and shouting, "It wasn't me." All I could do was hold him tight, my heart breaking. Online arguments about Lewis grew increasingly heated. His school, class, and address were all exposed. Pictures started appearing showing his locker slashed with knives with pervert carved into it, his clothes soaked with yogurt and soda, and all his personal belongings thrown in the trash. These people, claiming to be protecting the public, were celebrating their destruction of Lewis's dignity. Online commenters cheered them on, calling them heroes. The psychologist advised keeping Lewis away from the internet, so I used the excuse of eye strain to take away his phone. Lewis knew everything though. He didn't ask a single question, just flipping through the novels I bought him. He smiled and said, "Sis, after graduation, let's go traveling. I want to go somewhere far away." "Sure, anywhere you want." I filed charges against the attackers, but since several boys were minors and Lewis had fought back, the police classified it as mutual combat and suggested we settle privately. The next day, one of the boys, Pierce, live-streamed himself bragging, "I'm not scared at all. My uncle works at the police station. Besides, I was just standing up for what's right. Lewis is scum. I'll beat him every chance I get." The comments flooded in with support. "That's right. Good job. Beat that animal to death. These disgusting guys make me sick. Go die." A few days later, Pamela also posted a video. Crying to the camera, she said, "I'm sorry. I was unconscious at the time. Maybe it was just my imagination. I really don't remember clearly. Please stop pressuring me." This video sparked another wave of outrage. Internet users analyzed screenshots of her expressions, speculating she had been threatened, leading to another round of abuse and condemnation of Lewis. That day, I arrived at the hospital to find Lewis staring blankly at a phone. An older woman in a hospital gown stood by his bed, pointing at him and saying, "You little animal, you should just die. Why are you still alive?" I shoved her aside and grabbed the phone. The screen was filled with hateful comments about Lewis. I smashed the phone to the ground and glared at the woman. "Get out!" The woman was angry and scared, shouting as she left. "Oh my God, the pervert sister is destroying my phone and trying to attack me. What a horrible family. No wonder they don't have parents. They probably caused their deaths." My chest heaved with anger. Looking back at Lewis, I saw him staring out the window, his usually straight back now hunched, looking like he might shatter at any moment. Expressionless, I stepped out to make a call. "Hey Kevin, it's me, Catherine. I need a favor." I used my connections to have someone guard Lewis's hospital room. He was traumatized, and I needed to clear his name. That boy Pierce had gained tens of thousands of followers from his previous livestream. Looking through all his social media posts, I discovered he might know something important. I created a fake account, infiltrated his fan group, chatted for a couple days, and added his private account. He asked me, "Beautiful, want to gain followers and make money like me?" I replied, "Yeah, you gain followers so fast. I'm jealous." Flattered by my compliments, Pierce let his guard down. During our chat, he accidentally revealed that someone had recorded video at the lake that day. Lewis hadn't inappropriately touched Pamela at all. Fighting to contain my shock, I asked, "Then why didn't you help clear his name?" Pierce was confused. Why would I help clear his name when everyone's attacking him? I became the first person to beat him up. And I started live streaming while the topic was hot. Do you know how much money I've made these past few days? Not only am I not clearing his name, I've even paid for bots to post more hate comments about him. My whole body trembled. This animal. I quickly took screenshots of our conversation and prepared to consult a lawyer about how to clear Lewis's name. A few days later, Pamela also posted a video. Crying to the camera, she said, "I'm sorry. I was unconscious at the time. Maybe it was just my imagination. I really don't remember clearly. Please stop pressuring me." This video sparked another wave of outrage. Internet users analyzed screenshots of her expressions, speculating she had been threatened, leading to another round of abuse and condemnation of Lewis. That day, I arrived at the hospital to find Lewis staring blankly at a phone. An older woman in a hospital gown stood by his bed, pointing at him and saying, "You little animal, you should just die. Why are you still alive?" I shoved her aside and grabbed the phone. The screen was filled with hateful comments about Lewis. I smashed the phone to the ground and glared at the woman. "Get out!" The woman was angry and scared, shouting as she left. "Oh my God, the pervert sister is destroying my phone and trying to attack me. What a horrible family. No wonder they don't have parents. They probably caused their deaths." My chest heaved with anger. Looking back at Lewis, I saw him staring out the window, his usually straight back now hunched, looking like he might shatter at any moment. Expressionless, I stepped out to make a call. "Hey Kevin, it's me, Catherine. I need a favor." I used my connections to have someone guard Lewis's hospital room. He was traumatized, and I needed to clear his name. That boy Pierce had gained tens of thousands of followers from his previous livestream. Looking through all his social media posts, I discovered he might know something important. I created a fake account, infiltrated his fan group, chatted for a couple days, and added his private account. He asked me, Beautiful, want to gain followers and make money like me? I replied. Yeah, you gain followers so fast. I'm jealous. Flattered by my compliments, Pierce let his guard down. During our chat, he accidentally revealed that someone had recorded video at the lake that day. Lewis hadn't inappropriately touched Pamela at all. Fighting to contain my shock, I asked. Then why didn't you help clear his name? Pierce was confused. Why would I help clear his name when everyone's attacking him? I became the first person to beat him up. And I started live streaming while the topic was hot. Do you know how much money I've made these past few days? Not only am I not clearing his name, I've even paid for bots to post more hate comments about him. My whole body trembled. This animal. I quickly took screenshots of our conversation and prepared to consult a lawyer about how to clear Lewis's name. The hospital called suddenly. Catherine, your brother's in trouble. Lewis tried to kill himself. He snuck onto a balcony, and people passing by recognized him. They called him horrible names and told him to jump to atone for his sins. And he did from the 7th floor. Standing outside the emergency room, my heart turned to ice. I'm not a good person. In the past, to survive and support Lewis, I've done bad things, though I've been clean for a long time now. But looking at the harsh glare of the emergency room lights, I've never wanted to kill someone so badly. The lawyer sent over his plan. After a long silence, I asked him, can they go to jail? The ones who spread lies and paid for fake comments online, can they be locked up? The lawyer fell silent too. It would be difficult to gather enough evidence. We can only charge this Pierce kid with defamation. But because he's young, based on previous cases, he won't face serious punishment. After hearing this, I actually felt relieved. If the law couldn't punish them, I would. At dismissal time, I parked by the school entrance. After most students had left, Pamela and Pierce came out one after another. They seemed to be arguing about something. Suddenly, Pierce pulled Pamela into an alley. Soon I could hear them fighting. Pamela screamed. He tried to kill himself. Pierce lowered his voice. Don't shout. His suicide has nothing to do with us. He's just too weak. What's the point of making a fuss now? Weren't you the one who started this whole mess by spreading dirt on him? I just wanted payback. Because he rejected me when I confessed my feelings. I jumped in the lake because of him too. I was angry, but I didn't want him to die. Things have already gone this far. Listen to me, let's hire more trolls online. Remember last semester when you screamed after seeing a cockroach in the girls' bathroom, and Lewis rushed in? Let's get that security footage, and say Lewis was a habitual offender, who always entered the girls' bathroom. That way, even in death, people will think he killed himself out of shame. Pamela started crying in terror, which Pierce took as agreement. As they walked out of the alley, Pierce cursed at his phone. Damn it, I can't get a ride. I pulled up in front of him wearing a mask and asked, need a ride? Pierce hesitated before opening the door. Pamela said her home was just ahead, and was planning to walk. I called out to her, get in too. I'm heading that way. No charge. After Pamela got in, she smiled at me. Thanks. Looking at her eyes through the rearview mirror, I stared coldly. Don't mention it. This is what you both deserve. Pamela froze. Then her eyes widened in horror. It's you. Let me out. I want to get out. She frantically tried to open the door, but suddenly went limp. Next to her, Pierce had already passed out from the drug. I looked at the two in the back seat, expressionless, and drove toward the outskirts of town. By the time Pamela and Pierce woke up, it was night. The abandoned factory had no lights on. I sat in front of them, scrolling through their phone conversations with family members. It was all so ironic. That afternoon, Pierce had texted his sister to finish her tutoring and come straight home, warning her not to wander around. Pamela had been begging her brother to bring her cookies. They had loving families too. How could they do something like this? I couldn't understand. The dim light from the phone cast a ghostly glow on my face. When Pierce saw this as he woke up, he was so terrified he passed out again. Pamela was sweating profusely as she looked at me, trying to shrink into the corner despite her restraints. After texting their parents that they wouldn't be home tonight, I threw a bucket of water on Pierce to wake him up. He trembled violently. Who are you? How much money do you want? Pamela stuttered. You idiot, she's Lewis's sister. She's here for revenge, don't you get it? She paused, then immediately put on a pitiful expression, and moved closer to me. I was wrong. Lying was bad, but at first, no one paid attention to what I said. It was him, she pointed at Pierce, who found reporters to interview me and paid for fake comments online. The whole situation exploded because of him. Pierce was stunned for a second before lunging forward. With his hands tied, he kicked Pamela hard in the stomach, cursing loudly. You bitch! You're throwing me under the bus. I picked up a wooden plank nearby and knocked Pierce aside, then dragged Pamela to the second floor of the factory, where I had set up a camera. I held her firmly in front of the lens, staring her down. Tell the truth about everything. Clear Lewis's name. Pamela was terrified, but she quickly realized that if she confessed, she'd be destroyed online too. She turned to look at me in panic. Without a word, I grabbed her hair and pushed her face to the ground, holding a knife against her carotid artery. I'll talk. I'll talk. Pamela faced the camera with tears streaming down her face and choked out the whole story. She maintained a good student image at school, but secretly hung out with some delinquent girls. One day after school, these girls saw Lewis talking to Pamela at the school entrance. Lewis was popular and good-looking, so Pamela, overcome with vanity, claimed he was her boyfriend and later actually did try to pursue him. But Lewis rejected her confession. The other girls didn't know she was lying and encouraged her to invite Lewis to hang out. Pamela never did, and they felt they'd been played. So that afternoon, they got into an argument by the lake, and Pamela was accidentally pushed in. Lewis saved her. After regaining consciousness, Pamela both resented Lewis for rejecting her and feared he might expose her smoking and drinking with those girls. So when her parents questioned her, she changed the subject by claiming Lewis had molested her. Hearing this, my heart turned to ice, my knife-holding hand trembling. Lewis had a gentle nature and never got into conflicts. He was even kind enough to help bullied students. I could imagine his face, embarrassed and apologetic, as he rejected Pamela. Just for the sake of saving face, she destroyed someone so good. I slapped Pamela hard across the face, ice in my eyes. You'd better pray my brother survives. This 2-minute video was uploaded in the middle of the night. I waited and waited, but hardly anyone watched it. By 6 a.m. the next day, though, the views exploded. The internet went wild. Plot twist today. That boy was innocent all along. OMG, how could this girl be so evil? I heard that boy committed suicide. Is it true? I apologize for cursing Lewis before. Did anyone notice the background? She looks terrified. Where is she? Is she being threatened? Is she okay? Pamela's parents, learning their daughter had been kidnapped, reported it to the police in tears. The police quickly suspected me, but besides Lewis in the hospital, they couldn't find any trace of me. That afternoon, I uploaded another video using Pierce's account. In it, he was hanging from the ceiling, begging for mercy. I was wrong. I shouldn't have paid for fake comments to smear him. Everything I said was a lie. Help. Someone help me. This video sparked fierce debate as soon as it was posted. As the likes on the video kept increasing, Pierce's face grew paler and paler. I looked at him coldly. Didn't you enjoy all those likes? The more likes, the longer you two will hang here. Good luck. With that, I walked away without looking back. Pierce and Pamela were suspended in separate sealed rooms, blindfolded, and wearing noise-canceling earplugs. Back when I worked at an underground casino, we often treated gamblers who wouldn't pay their debts this way. Unable to see or hear anything, they usually broke down within a day. Pamela and Pierce howled in their separate rooms. Please let me go. Don't leave. What are you going to do? Mom, help me. I'm so scared. Listen to how strong their voices were. While my brother lay in intensive care, his fate uncertain, I sat in the vast factory listening to their cries for help. I thought Lewis's name would finally be cleared, but to my surprise, the internet narrative suddenly shifted. Someone posted an article claiming everything Pamela and Pierce said was coerced by me, that I was using extreme methods to clear Lewis's name. My methods apparently proved Lewis wasn't a good person. They even analyzed Pamela and Pierce's micro-expressions, claiming they were speaking lies under my threats. To prove their point, they posted a video showing Lewis in the school hallway, hesitating for a few seconds before cautiously entering the girls' bathroom. The caption read, "This Lewis is a habitual offender, a pervert who spies on girls in school bathrooms." Just like that, internet users unanimously turned against Lewis and me. What's wrong with them? This brother and sister do wrong but won't repent, and now they're playing kidnapper? They're poison to society. Hope they rot in jail. I heard that Lewis kid tried to kill himself. What, suicide to escape punishment? Good riddance. I silently watched the video 3 times, then stood up and kicked open the iron door to Pierce's room. The loud noise made him jump. I cut him down and dragged him to a water bucket, dunking his head in until he was nearly out of breath before pulling him out. The security footage of Pamela screaming after seeing a cockroach in the girls' bathroom, with Lewis going in. Who has it? Pierce was so scared he wet himself, stammering, "Albert." "Who's Albert?" "Lewis's friend." Pierce paused, suddenly remembering something, and shouted, "He was there when Lewis gave Pamela CPR. He's the one who showed me the video. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have thought of hiring trolls to attack online. He's related to the discipline master, and told me he could get the bathroom security footage. Sister, go find him. I've really learned my lesson. Please let me go." I struggled to compose myself, tossed Pierce aside, and was about to leave when I got a call from Kevin. "Catherine, have you seen what they're saying online?" My heart skipped a beat. "Did something happen to Lewis?" Kevin said, "Several people just stormed into the hospital wanting Lewis to go to hell. Thankfully, the police guards stopped them." After a moment of silence, Kevin sighed. "I know I can't stop you now. Do what you need to do. I can recommend a hacker who might be able to help." I choked up a bit. "Thank you." After hanging up the phone, I put on a hat and mask before leaving, avoiding security cameras as I drove to the school. High school students hadn't been dismissed yet, so the convenience store near campus was practically empty. A little girl sat inside, staring blankly out the window. I recognized her immediately as Pierce's sister from the photos on his phone. "What are you doing here?" I asked casually, sitting down beside her with some snacks I'd bought. She replied sadly, "My brother didn't come home yesterday and hasn't texted me. I'm waiting for him at his school." I smiled, though there was no warmth in it. "Is your brother nice to you?" "He's the best. He watches cartoons with me and teaches me how to draw." I stared at her expressionlessly. Do cyber-bullies also have people they care about? If I brought her to Pierce, he'd probably break down completely. Just thinking about it gave me a sense of grim satisfaction. My phone suddenly buzzed with a message from Trial. The hacker Kevin had recommended. "Albert isn't at school. He's been out for 2 days. He's at home now, and his parents are away. Here's his address and phone number." I turned off my screen and gave Pierce's sister a cold look. After a moment, I leaned down and whispered viciously in her ear, "Your brother is a bad person. He helped kill someone who was very, very good." Then I shoved all the snacks into the stunned girl's hands. As I walked out of the store, I could hear the girl crying in fear behind me. Without looking back, I drove to Albert's house. From 3 p.m. until dark, no lights came on inside. Clearly Albert knew he was in danger too. But the street was busy, so I couldn't just break in. When foot traffic died down a bit, I called his number. He answered quickly but didn't speak. I said calmly, "I'm with the police. You might be the kidnapper's next target. Your home isn't safe anymore. Please come downstairs immediately, so I can take you to the station for protection." Albert frantically started packing. Okay, I'll be right down." In less than 10 minutes, he came out carrying a black bag. Without hesitation, he opened my car door and got in, sighing with relief. "Thank God for you cops." "But," he leaned forward, studying me, "don't you guys wear uniforms?" I turned to look at him, and sprayed him with the sedative as his eyes widened in horror. Now I had everyone. But as I drove back to the abandoned factory, something felt off. When I rushed inside, I discovered that Pamela and Pierce were gone. Cut ropes lay on the floor. Lucky them, I thought with a bitter smirk. It looked like this was almost over. They would soon return with the police. I didn't have much time left. I dragged Albert from the car, closed the factory doors, and was about to pull him inside when suddenly I heard 2 knocks on the metal door. I held my breath, ready for anything. Then I heard a girl's confused voice. "Huh, it's unlocked?" The door opened to reveal 2 masked women standing there, holding something. Looking closer, my eyes widened in shock. They were dragging Pamela and Pierce. The tall, thin woman carelessly dropped Pierce on the ground and said casually, "Caught a couple of rats for you. No need to thank us." When I remained silent, the sweet-voiced woman waved her hand. "We're here to help. Let me introduce ourselves. We're the judges. We deal with those who slip through the cracks in the legal system. She's Trial, the hacker Kevin told you about." So it was them. The tall woman dragged Pierce and Pamela inside, her tone casual. "If it weren't for me, your amateur attempts at avoiding detection would have been caught on security cameras hours ago. And that first video of Pamela? I'm the one who got it exposure in traffic. Now do you trust us?" I turned and followed them. "Thanks." The tall woman was Greta, and the shorter one was Carol. They quickly removed their masks, revealing their faces. I was surprised. "You're not hiding your identities?" Greta looked puzzled. "Are you going to tell anyone?" I shook my head. Greta shrugged. "Then what's the problem?" They professionally helped me tie everyone up. As I was about to interrogate Albert, Carol stopped me. Do you know why so many people still don't believe their confession videos despite releasing them? I paused, looking at her in confusion. Greta efficiently installed hidden cameras in a sealed factory room, then threw Albert, Pierce, and Pamela inside. After closing the door, she explained, "Because people always suspect conspiracy. But if it's secretly recorded, that's different. Hidden camera footage gives viewers a voyeuristic perspective. They only believe what they think they're secretly watching." Greta snapped her fingers and pointed at my phone. She had sent me a link. When I clicked it, a live stream appeared showing Albert, Pierce, and Pamela gradually regaining consciousness. In less than a minute, tens of thousands of people flooded the stream. Is this some escape room game? Wait, aren't those the 2 missing students? Now there are 3 of them. Holy crap, this kidnapper is live streaming? That's bold. Let me share this with my class group chat. This is insane. What are they planning to do? Doesn't anyone else find this terrifying? In the room, Albert realized where he was the moment he saw Pierce and Pamela. His upper body was completely tied up, and he looked around in terror. The next second, he demanded furiously, "Am I here because of you?" Pierce, who hadn't eaten in 2 days and had endured so much psychological torture, lay in the corner and sneered. "Did you piss off that psycho with the bathroom security footage? Why else would she grab you?" Albert remained silent. Pierce suddenly snapped. "This is all your fault. You told me I'd become famous if I was the first to publicly shame Lewis. That's why I got people to beat him up and paid for trolls to attack him online. You caused all this." One lens of Albert's glasses was shattered. He looked at Pierce indifferently. "Blaming me now? I just mentioned it to you. I never told you to actually do it. When everyone was praising you online, you weren't saying it was my fault then." His smug tone enraged Pierce completely. He dragged his exhausted body up and charged at Albert. But Albert was in much better shape and quickly overpowered him. As Pierce was getting beaten, his body suddenly froze when a cold male voice sounded in his ear. Ask Albert why he wanted to hurt Lewis. He didn't even know when the tiny earpiece had been placed in his ear, and he froze in confusion. I stared coldly at the screen, taking the microphone from Greta. With a blank expression, I said, "I saw your sister today. She's really cute." Pierce's pupils contracted in fear as he kicked Albert away. Gasping for breath, he retreated to the corner and tried to calm his voice. "Fighting here doesn't make any sense." Albert scoffed and sat down too. After a pause, Pierce asked, "Did Lewis offend you somehow? Why did you set him up?" Albert was startled by the question and looked away. "He didn't offend you either. Yet you were the main force behind the cyberbullying." "That's different. Everyone knows you're from a rich family with good grades, the teacher's pet. If you hate him this much, he must have done something to you." Seeing that Albert still wouldn't talk, Pierce began to sweat nervously and taunted him. "If you're too scared to talk when it's just us here, you really are a coward." Albert looked around. Indeed, besides him, there were only Pierce and Pamela. Pamela lay on the ground, staring blankly at the ceiling, lost in her own thoughts. Albert gave a self-deprecating smile. "Do you need a reason to hate someone?" Albert had grown up in a wealthy family with high expectations. Before high school, he had always enjoyed everyone's praise and attention. But once he started high school, everything changed. The first time he entered a competition, he only got second place. First place went to a boy named Lewis. He thought it was a fluke, but afterward, Lewis kept winning every competition. Even in debate club he couldn't beat him. All the praise that used to belong to Albert was now directed at Lewis, and he felt an unprecedented jealousy. If Lewis had been from a rich family, who could afford private tutors, it would have been somewhat understandable. But Lewis came from an ordinary background with no access to famous teachers or coaches. Albert had deliberately befriended him once, telling him about the latest gaming console at his house, newly released comics, even a dance machine and swimming pool. He invited Lewis to come over. He wanted to use these temptations that few teenage boys could resist to gradually lure Lewis into slacking off. But Lewis had just smiled. "Thanks, but I don't have time." After much persuasion, Lewis did visit once. Lewis had genuinely enjoyed himself, staring intently at the game screen. Albert thought he'd get addicted, but when Lewis put down the controller, he showed no reluctance to leave. Instead, he pulled out a set of practice problems from his bag and asked if they could discuss a math question together. Albert nearly lost his mind. With Lewis around, no one ever noticed him. His parents always frowned, asking why he couldn't even get first place. The girls who used to peek into the classroom were now only looking at Lewis. Albert couldn't accept it. All of this had belonged to him before. If Lewis weren't around, everything would be his again. As soon as Pamela's message went viral, Albert saw the perfect opportunity to bring Louis down. He fanned the flames, exploiting Pamela's cowardice and Pierce's greed to push Louis toward destruction, while keeping his own hands clean. But when the truth came out online, Albert panicked. He was terrified that Louis might survive and return to school, especially with a hero's reputation that would only make Albert seem smaller by comparison. In desperation, he posted his own message online, which finally exposed his involvement. Standing outside that room, I was shaking uncontrollably. Why him? My brother was healthy, positive, took relationships seriously, had no bad habits, and tried to help someone in danger. Why did these very qualities become his death sentence? Albert's obsessive, crazed accusations left the livestream viewers in stunned silence. He destroyed someone out of pure jealousy. My God. It's horrifying. None of these three are worth anything. What did Louis do wrong? Is helping someone in danger a crime? Even if Louis's sister was the one who kidnapped these three losers, I fully support her clearing his name. Meanwhile, at the police station, chaos had erupted. The kidnapping count was up to 3 people. Every tech specialist was trying to trace the location based on clues from the livestream. But chances looked slim. The IP address was encrypted. Not amateur hacking. Breaking through would be challenging. Albert's parents had just arrived at the station and angrily swept the documents off a desk. Aren't you all just wasting taxpayer money? They yelled. You still haven't found them. What good are you? The police captain kicked a chair in frustration and turned to them, the station falling silent as he pointed at them. How about you teach your kids some values before telling me how to do my job? This isn't your playground to throw tantrums. Keep interfering with our investigation if you want. It's not my son who's been kidnapped. The Jiang family parents went pale, trembling as they looked at the captain before finally leaving in tears. The officers exchanged glances, silently giving the captain thumbs up. The captain took a deep breath. This case isn't simple. This livestream method resembles the judge kidnapping cases from the neighboring county. Speed up the location tracking. The next day, as I dragged a metal pipe into the room, Greta cut the live stream. Carol kindly reminded me, remember to leave them alive. I walked into the darkness, looking down at the 3 instigators, slowly revealing a smile. You said my brother couldn't handle pressure. Let's see how much you can take. Pierce and Pamela went white, cold sweat pouring down their faces as they desperately backed away. Only Albert stared back at me, sneering. If you're trying to make me clear Louis's name, forget it. Touch me once, and I'll never testify for him. Before he could finish, I kicked him in the face, then grabbed his hair, grinding his face against the floor. No, you misunderstand. I don't need you to prove anything. I whispered. I want you to become just as unfortunate as him. With half his face scraped raw, Albert stared at me in terror, screaming. Help! Somebody help me. I'm sorry. I'll testify for him. Please let me go. I'm the same age as Louis. I'm not even 18. You can't ruin my life. I laughed coldly. Louis was even younger than you. Did you spare him? I landed punch after punch on his face until his cries grew weaker and weaker. When he passed out, I threw him between Pierce and Pamela. They began begging for mercy, terrified. I just smiled coldly. None of you are getting away. I found the lakeside video on Albert's phone. It clearly showed Louis giving Pamela CPR, with nothing inappropriate whatsoever. After uploading the video online, another wave of controversy erupted. Kevin suddenly called to say Louis was in critical condition, resuscitated 3 times overnight. They weren't sure if he'd make it. My mind went blank as I stumbled outside. The hospital was under complete police control. I could only see Louis from a distance. All his life he'd been so strong. Never cried when he fell. Always smiled through illness to reassure me not to worry. This time, please be strong just once more. Many people brought flowers to the hospital entrance. Someone had hung a banner reading, Hope our little hero Louis pulls through. The wind was strong as tears slowly fell down my face. How ironic. Yesterday Louis was being cursed, today he's a hero. Online crowds are terrifying. They can drag someone through the mud, then lift them to the skies. I looked at them coldly, turning to leave when I noticed an older woman in a hospital gown sitting in the courtyard, holding her family's hands and crying. I never imagined the truth was like this. I even burst into his room to curse at him. Just thinking about it fills me with regret. My heart aches. Such a good kid, destroyed like this. I've wronged both siblings. It was the woman who had stormed into Louis's room that day. Now she clutched her chest, seeming even more heartbroken than me. I could only find it darkly amusing. While Pierce's manipulation of public opinion was despicable, Those who mindlessly joined the mob were never innocent. Let her repent. Better if she lives in guilt forever. I'll never forgive any of them. I sat in my car by the roadside, waiting from daylight until dark, when Kevin's message finally came. Catherine, my condolences. I froze for a moment, replied I understand, then put down my phone. I floored the gas pedal toward the factory in the outskirts, but found 7 or 8 police cars at the entrance. I got out with a knife, determined, when suddenly a car screeched to a halt in front of me. Greta opened the door. Get in now. I ignored him and kept walking, then felt a sharp pain in my neck before losing consciousness. When I woke up, I was in an unfamiliar basement with Carol and Greta sitting across from me. The police showed up unexpectedly. We had to knock you out, sorry. I sat expressionless. What about them? They've been rescued. The room fell silent. All at once my strength drained away. I couldn't hold it together anymore. I lay down, buried my face in my arms, and sobbed uncontrollably. Neither Greta nor Carol said anything, as if they'd seen this all before. They were indeed skilled. A week after Albert and the others were rescued, the police still had no leads about me. Kevin, at my request, buried Louis in a secluded cemetery. Every night when I closed my eyes, all I could see was Louis calling me sis. I suddenly couldn't find any reason to keep living, moving through each day like a zombie. The sentences came down for Albert, Pamela, and Pierce: defamation, insult, and causing suicide resulting in death. The punishment wasn't severe. They wouldn't even serve many years. Albert, thanks to his parents' connections, got the lightest sentence, only 8 months. That day, standing on the rooftop, I felt life was meaningless. Why not join Louis? Just as I was about to take that final step, Greta's voice came from behind. Are you satisfied with this? I turned to look at him, and Greta asked coldly, Are you happy with their punishment? I smiled. What difference does it make if I'm not? Greta's mouth curved upward. Destroying someone doesn't always require violence. Albert's extreme jealousy will drag him to hell on his own. All we need to do is help him find the path. I truly wasn't satisfied. But what's another 8 months of waiting? It's worth it. 8 months later, Albert's parents moved him far away to a coastal city. To help him escape his criminal identity, he changed his name, got minor cosmetic surgery, and started high school all over again, becoming the star student he'd always dreamed of being. I spent countless afternoons sitting in the coffee shop across from his school, watching him emerge with a beaming smile, teachers patting his shoulder with pride, surrounded by friends. How nice for him. New place, new face, back to being the center of attention, getting everything he wanted. But did anyone ask for my permission? A month later, Greta enrolled as a transfer student in Albert's class. After just 1 monthly exam, he surpassed Albert and took first place. Albert was stunned. He began studying like a madman, taking extra classes, but Greta crushed him in every test. Albert was losing it, but at least this time he had plenty of friends. All he needed to do was convince everyone to isolate Greta. Then let's see if those perfect grades would continue. One day at lunch, Albert bought coffee for his classmates, planning to trash-talk Greta. But to his surprise, the same peers who had always been so friendly now stared at him strangely, avoiding him like the plague. He stopped his closest buddy and asked, I brought you coffee. Why aren't you drinking it? The guy backed away in disgust, frowning. Drink it yourself. I'm going to play basketball with Greta. Albert suddenly realized something had gone terribly wrong. He forced himself to ask, What's with the attitude? Did I offend you somehow? His friend looked at him with pure contempt. I've noticed how weird you are about writing your name. It's not your real one, is it? You were actually called Albert, right? The guy who got someone killed and went to jail. Albert's mind went blank as the color drained from his face. He stumbled backward. That's impossible. How could they know? He looked different now from before. Something had gone wrong. What Albert never expected was that he would be the one ostracized. People looked at him differently, called him killer to his face. No one wanted him on their team, and everyone kept their distance at lunch. During one break, Albert discovered someone had carved murderer into his locker with a knife. Suddenly he understood what Louis must have felt when the entire internet turned against him. His classmates wrote psycho on all his personal belongings. The whole school hurled insults and accusations. So this is what it feels like. Greta was the only person in school who didn't mock him. Watching Greta surrounded by admirers, a thought formed in Albert's mind. If he could reclaim first place, would everyone worship him again like before? Surely they would. Greta had installed cameras in the classroom, and I watched the feed daily, like it was my favorite TV drama. Carol spent half her time complaining. Greta could totally rock a decent hairstyle. Why does she insist on that ugly bangs and black glasses combo around him? She sounded like an actual student when she said that. I smiled. Maybe she doesn't want to seem too intimidating. Greta paused. I added, when she takes off the glasses and cuts the bangs, she's genuinely beautiful. But she also looks icier. I think she keeps those unattractive features, so you won't be afraid of her. Carol scoffed. Who's afraid of her? She went back to typing on her keyboard. I glanced over curiously. What novel are you writing? My side hustle. I looked at the title. The Judge's Chronicles. I'd seen that book on Lewis's e-reader. It felt strange, like we'd been connected before we knew it. Lewis was following your series too. Too bad he never got to see the ending. Carol's fingers froze. She looked up at me. Can I write him into it? I want to give him a happy ending. By the story's conclusion, the boy gets accepted to a good college, travels to many places with his sister, and they take photos everywhere they go, reclaiming their lives. My eyes grew moist. Thank you. After another humiliating defeat, Albert couldn't take it anymore. He deliberately sat across from Greta at lunch. Thankfully, Greta didn't reject him outright. Albert hesitated, then tried to sound casual. Do you like gaming? I have the latest console at my place. Want to come over and play? Greta just looked at him with an enigmatic smile. Albert felt uneasy. Finally, Greta shook his head. That stuff's boring. Then what do you find interesting? Forget it. You couldn't handle it. Greta turned to leave. Albert chased after him. Just tell me. Maybe we could do it together. With a smile playing on his lips, Greta took Albert to a motorcycle track. He raced along winding mountain roads, then pulled off his helmet in front of Albert with feigned frustration. Riding alone is no fun. If I had someone to ride with, who would want to waste time reading those boring books? Albert's eyes lit up with excitement. He'd finally found Greta's weakness. Glancing at the motorcycle, Albert made up his mind. 2 weeks later, news of Albert riding his bike off a cliff shocked the entire school. They said he survived, but with a high-level spinal injury, he'd spend the rest of his life bedridden. Meanwhile, Greta quietly withdrew from school. I asked him, puzzled. Did you tamper with the motorcycle? Greta shrugged. Did I need to? Carol explained from the side. He was impatient. Before learning to turn properly, he was already challenging difficult roads. The weather was bad that day with low visibility. An accident was inevitable. Just happened sooner than expected. The evil you sow is what you eventually reap. No matter how bitter or unbearable, you must swallow it. That's karma. I stared at the news on my phone, unsure how to feel. As for Pamela and Pierce, I heard they weren't doing well mentally. Pierce's sister reportedly cries whenever she hears his name, calling him a bad person. Is it over? It seems like it is. But what am I supposed to do now? A familiar voice suddenly came from behind. Hey. I turned around as Greta reached out a hand to me. There are many people like your Lewis in this world who die in dark corners, unknown, while their killers celebrate in the sunshine. We want to drive those rats back into the sewers. Want to join us?